I'm Olympitan Chanko, and this is Angelo Sison, and we're the host for today's show.
The topics for today's shows, which all the contestants will answer, is how to solve vector using both analytical and parallelogram method, as this is an engineering edition. The group will consist of 6 people, and the answer will be asked at random. So without further ado, let's play Who Wants to Be a Billionaire Engineering Edition.
Let's now start with problem number one. We have $100 for this. The first question will be answered by Miss Christine Timbal. The question is, what is the components of vector f?
Letter A is my answer because fx equals 120 cosine or 120 degrees equals 76.60 Newton. Fy equals 120 sine or 120 degrees equals 103.92 Newton.
For the next question, for $1,000, the question is, what is the components of vector p?
Letter C is my answer because px equals 100 cosine or 40 degrees equals 76.60 Newton, while py equals 100 sine or 40 degrees equals 64.28 Newton.
Moving on to our next contestant, Mr. John Faison Soliman. For 1,000 pesos question, what is the summation of y and x axis?
The summation of x and y. Now, in the given Cartesian plane, how we can get summation of x and y? Now, we have a solution to get it. Using scientific calculator, press mode, then choose complex. Then you can use now to get the summation of x and y. Press 100 degree, then use shift, then press angle bar, then press 40 degree. After that, press plus sign, then press 120 degree, then use shift, then press angle bar, then press 120 degree. After that, press equal sign. The answer we got for the summation force horizontal is 16.60 N, and then 168.2 for the summation force vertical.
For our next question worth 2,000 pesos. What is the resultant force of vector F and P?
To get the resultant force vector of F and P, we will use the answer in summation of x and y. Using scientific calculator, press square root, then inside the square root, put the answer of summation force horizontal, which is 16.60 N, then squared it. Then we add the summation force vertical, which is 168.2 N, then squared it. After that, press equal sign. Now the answer we get for this resultant force vector of F and P is 169.02 N.
For the fifth question, for $4,000, we have Rocky Sebastian. The question is, what is the angle of inclination of vector F and P?
The value of the summation force of horizontal and vertical. Divide the 168.2 n over 16.60 n, and by the using scientific calculator to find the real answer, type shift tangent and the answer when you divide the two summation, which will give you 84.36 degree.
The sixth question is in problem number 2. And the contestant who will answer this is still Rocky Sebastian. For $5,000, the question is, what is the magnitude of vector P?
The resultant force of 184.90 n and the degree of 82.49, the magnitude of vector P is sin 105 degree. over 184.93 n equal to sine 42.51 degree over p. Using cross multiplication and simple division, you will get the value of P 129.37 Newton.
And for our next contestant, Mr. Jose Fernando Sarmiento, this question is worth 5,500 pesos. And the question is, what is the magnitude of vector f?
What is the magnitude of vector f? The answer is df equals 102.84 newtons. When finding a magnitude of the vector f, it should be made a triangle shape. Then all the three sides will have an opposite angles. And if that happens, the law of cosine can be applied. To find the missing side, the sine 105 degrees will be divided to the 184.93 newtons, which are opposite to each other, and multiply it to the sine 34.49 degrees to get the corresponding side of the vector f. And the answer will be 102.84 newtons.
And for 100 pesos question, what is the initial resultant force of vector f and p?
The answer is D, 174.96 newtons. The initial resultant force of vector P and F can be found by using the method called the law of cosine, because of its oblique triangle that was traced by the coordinates in Cartesian plane. Then, substitute all the givens to formula. After that, it will become a square root of 100 newtons squared plus 120 newtons squared minus 2 multiplied by 120 newtons, 100 newtons, and cosine 150 degrees. The answer is 174.96 newton.
For the 10th question, we'll be having $300,000. And the contestant who will answer this is Miss Joanna Tapner. The question is, what is the value of the angle of vector P?
Letter B. P equals 41.49 degrees. To get the value of angle of vector P, use the formula of angle, which is cosine A equals B squared plus C squared minus A squared divided by 2 times B times C. Then substitute the cosine angle bar P equals 100 Newton squared plus 174.96 Newton squared minus 120 Newton squared divided by 2 times 100 Newton times 174.76 Newton. The answer is 0.749056,973. And to get the real answer, you need to use a calculator and then press shift cosine and 0.749056,973. And the answer is 41.49 degrees.
For $500,000, the 11th question will be answered by Joanna Tapner. The question is, what is the value of the angle of vector F?
Letter D. F equals 33.51 degrees. To get the value of angle of vector F, I also use the formula of angles, which is cosine A equals B squared plus C squared minus A squared divided by 2 times B times C. Then substitute the cosine angle bar F equals 120 Newton squared plus 174.96 Newton squared minus 100 Newton squared divided by 2 times 120 Newton times 174.76 Newton. The answer is 0.833785858. And to get the real answer, you need to press shift cosine and 0.833785858 is equals to 33.51 degrees.
Moving on to half a million pesos, which is asked, to Sir John David Velasco. What is the resultant force of vector F and P?
This given formula is R square root of S squared plus R squared RA squared minus 2 multiplied by S multiplied by RA multiplied by cos 56.49 degrees. S squared is equal to 145 Newton plus 174.96 Newton squared minus 2 multiplied by 145 Newton multiplied by 174.96 Newton multiplied by cos 56.49 degrees. Square root mo lang yun, 145 Newton is equal to 21,025 plus square root mo lang yung 174.96 is equal to 30,611. Then minus, multiply mo yung 2 multiply by 145 multiply by 174.96 multiply by cos 56.49 degrees is equal to 28,011.78. Then add mo lang yung 21,025 plus 30,611 minus sa 28,011.78 is equal to square root of 23,624.22. Then square root mo na yon, makuha mo na yung 153.70 Newton.
And for 1 million pesos, the question is, what is the angle of inclination of vector F and P?
This given formula is cosine angle bar theta x is equal to r squared plus s squared minus ra squared divided by 2 multiplied by r multiplied by s. Cosine bar theta angle bar theta x is equal to 153.70 n squared plus 145 n squared minus 174.76 n squared divided by 2 multiplied by 153.70 n multiplied by 145 n equals to 223,623.69. Kaya nakuha ito is 153.70 Newton is square root mo lang, kaya makukuha mo ito. Same lang do sa isa, 145 Newton, square root mo lang, makuha mo yung 21,025. Then, minus 174.76, square root mo lang, makukuha mo yung 30,541.06. Then, multiply mo lang yung 2, multiply by 153.70, multiply by 145, and is equal to 44,573 n. Then, pag nakuha mo na lahat yung sagot, is equal to 14,107.63 Newton. Divide to 44,573 Newton is equal to 0.31494. Then, angle bar theta x is equal to cosine raised to the negative 1. And type mo lang yung 0.31494 para makuha mo yung negative sa cosine, shift mo sa yung calcu. Then, pag nakuha mo to, cosine negative 1, then 0.31494 is equal to 71.64 degrees.
I hope you have enjoyed for today's show and you have learned many things. And see you in the next episode of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Goodbye.